Welcome back everyone, it is Mike from ManaHoarders. In this video I am bringing you a commander deck tech for an Orzhov commander, Aryel, Knight of Windgrace. You can cast this commander for 2, a white and a black. You get a 4/4 legendary human knight with vigilance. With her first ability you can pay 2 and a white and tap Aryel to create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. You can also pay a black and tap her and tap X untapped knights you control to destroy a target creature with power X or less. Before we dive into the deck, let's go over a few key points. First up, the final price for this build came in at $108.14. This does include the price of our commander and all of our lands. Now do bear in mind some of these prices will vary greatly depending on the quality of the cards you purchase, the vendor you use, and a variety of other factors. Our strategy is pretty straightforward. To maximize the amount of value we can get from this commander, we need to run Knight Tribal. Now there are plenty of knights in Magic's history, especially in these two colors that we can bring to the table. I do like the fact that Aryel is able to generate tokens herself that actually add to the payoff of her second ability. So once we build up our board enough, we can charge forth and destroy our opponents. Now let's go ahead and dive into the deck. First up are our artifacts. Arcane Signet can tap to add 1 mana of any color in our commander's color identity. Eye of Vecna. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we draw a card and lose 2 life. And at the beginning of our upkeep, we may pay 2. If we do, we draw a card and lose 2. Oketra's Monument makes our white creature spells cost 1 less to cast, and whenever we cast a creature spell, we get a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. Sigiled Sword of Valoron, the equipped creature gets +2/+0, has vigilance, and is a knight in addition to its other types. And whenever it attacks, we get a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance that's attacking. Sol Ring taps for 2 colorless mana. And the Circle of Loyalty, we have quite a bit going on with this one. This spell costs 1 less for each knight we control. It pumps all of our creatures +1/+1. Whenever we cast a legendary spell, we get a 2/2 knight token, and we can pay 3 and a white and tap it to create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. Moving on to our creatures, we do have some legends helping out our commander. Adolin Resplendent Cathar, the power is equal to the number of creatures we control, and whenever we attack for each opponent, we create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. Though not a knight, we have Liesa Forgotten Archangel. Whenever a non-token creature we control dies, we return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. If a creature an opponent controls would die, it is exiled instead. And Sir Conrad the Grim. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves our graveyard, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. And for our not-so-legendary creatures, Acclaimed Contender. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if we control another knight, we look at the top 5 cards of our library. We can reveal a knight, aura, equipment, or legendary artifact card from among them, put it into our hand, and we put the rest of the cards on the bottom of our library in a random order. Attended Knight has first strike. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we get a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Bosri's Lieutenant has vigilance and protection from multicolored. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature we control. Also, whenever Bosri's Lieutenant or another creature we control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, we create a 2/2 white knight creature token. Benelish Marshal pumps all of our creatures +1/+1. Corpse Knight, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under our control, each opponent loses 1 life. Crashing Drawbridge, we can tap it and give creatures we control haste. Dauntless Bodyguard, whenever it enters the battlefield we choose another creature we control. We can sacrifice the bodyguard to give that creature indestructible until end of turn. Drum Bellower allows us to untap all creatures we control during each player's untap phase. Foulmire Knight, we can cast Profane Insight and go on an adventure to draw a card and lose a life. Grave Shifter, this is technically every creature type, including knights. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we can return target creature card from our graveyard to our hand. Knight Exemplar pumps all of our knights +1/+1 and gives them indestructible. Knight of Grace has first strike, hexproof from black, and gets +1/+0 as long as a player controls a black permanent. Knight of Malice is pretty much the exact same, but the opposite colors. Knight of the Ebon Legion, we can give it +3/+3 and death touch until end of turn, and at the beginning of our end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, it gets a 1/1 counter. Liliana's Standard Bearer, whenever it enters the battlefield, we draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures that died under our control this turn. Midnight Reaper, whenever a non-token creature we control dies, it deals 1 damage to us, and we draw a card. Militant Angel, whenever it enters the battlefield, we can pump out some more knights. Reveille Squad, whenever we're attacked, if it is untapped, we can untap all creatures we control. Silverwing Squadron, the power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures we control. Whenever it attacks, we get a number of 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance equal to the number of opponents we have. Smitten Swordmaster, we can use the adventure ability. We can gain X life and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights we control. Valiant Knight pumps all of our knights +1/+1. Venerable Knight, whenever it dies, we can put a +1/+1 counter on target knight we control. Wintermoor Commander has Death Touch, the toughness is equal to the number of knights we control, and whenever it attacks, another target knight we control gains indestructible until end of turn. Worthy Knight, Whenever we cast a Knight spell, we get a 1/1 white human creature token. Moving on to our enchantments, Bastion of Remembrance. Whenever it enters, we get a 1/1 human soldier creature token, and whenever a creature we control dies, each opponent loses one and we gain one. Campaign of Vengeance. Whenever a creature we control attacks, the defending player loses 1 life and we gain 1 life. Cathar's Crusade. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under our control, we put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. Etchings of the Chosen. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. Then we can pay 1 and sacrifice the creature of the chosen type to give target creature we control indestructible until end of turn. Ghostly Prison. Creatures can't attack us unless their controller pays 2 for each creature attacking us. History of Benalia creates 2/2 Knight creature tokens, and with the 3rd lore counter, Knights we control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Knight's Charge. Whenever a Knight we control attacks, each opponent loses a life and we gain a life. Phyrexian Reclamation. For 1 and a black, we can pay 2 life and return target creature card from our graveyard to our hand. And Rally the Ranks. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we choose a creature type. Creatures we control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Moving on to our instance, Angel Song can prevent all combat damage that will be dealt this turn. Brought Back, we can choose up to 2 target permanent cards in our graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn, and we return them to the battlefield tapped. Charge, creatures we control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Coordinated Barrage, we choose a creature type. Coordinated Barrage deals damage to target attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of permanents we control of the chosen type. Costly Plunder, as an additional cost we can sacrifice an artifact or a creature to draw 2. Ethereal Haze prevents all damage that will be dealt to creatures this turn. Faith's Reward, we can return to the battlefield all permanent cards in our graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Pax Disdain, we choose a creature type and target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each permanent we control of the chosen type. Reckoner's Bargain, as an additional cost we can sacrifice an artifact or a creature. We gain life equal to the sacrificed permanent's mana value and draw 2. Swords to Plowshares, we can exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. Unbreakable Formation gives creatures we control indestructible until end of turn. Village Rites, we can sacrifice a creature to draw 2 cards. Vona's Hunger has Ascend. Each opponent sacrifices a creature, but if we have the City's Blessing, each opponent sacrifices half the creatures he or she controls rounded up. And you are already dead. We destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn, and we draw a card. We will be including 1 Planeswalker in this build, Basri Ket. His +1 ability puts a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn. For -2, whenever 1 or more non-token creatures attack this turn, we create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. And for -6, we get an emblem that reads, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. For our sorceries, Call the Cavalry, we create 2 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance. Crippling Fear, we choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn. Damn, we can destroy target creature, or we can overload it to destroy each creature. Pact of the Serpents, we choose a creature type. Target player draws X cards and loses X life, where X is the number of creatures they control of the chosen type. Read the Bones, we can scry 2, draw 2, and then lose 2 life. Sign in Blood, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. And Skull Tap, we can sacrifice a creature and draw 2 cards. And last but not least is our mana base. We are keeping things very basic, with 18 basic plains and 17 basic swamps. And just like that, we reached the end of this Commander deck tech for Aryel, Knight of Windgrace. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and leave a comment down below. Let us know what commanders you would like to see us build around in the future. I really appreciate all of your support.